You deserve a break too, Barbara.
Oh, don't worry about me. Oh, I don't expect anything.
It takes a woman for that hard interest stuff.
Hey friend, welcome to my channel Karinealourde, where we deep dive and break down the most iconic stars in history. If you're not yet subscribed, please be sure to do so and turn your notifications on so you never miss an upload. Now let's get into this video. I discovered who Sheila was just watching old black and white movies, and there is a genre called race films or race movies where it was made for black people of the 1940s era, 50s era, where they weren't playing like mammies and all of that. It was like glamour girls. She played the daughter of this wealthy investor in them, and they weren't as popular as the movies from the 1940s era. You know, they weren't as popular as the movies of like Grace Kelly or Marilyn Monroe, but they were so entertaining. And these people just bounce off screen, and the beauty, the class, the glamour. And Sheila just stole my heart. I just thought she was just so gorgeous. Please add some race films in there also, because they're very entertaining and it's not race focused. All it means is that it was just made for black people at the time, because they were independent films, because Hollywood didn't really support those films much. But a lot of people don't talk about Sheila much, and it's so unfortunate. So Sheila Guyse was popular in the 1940s and 1950s and graced many covers of publications such as Jet, Ebony, and Our World. She also was known to grace the cover of a magazine called Hue. Sheila Guyse was a very attractive lady, and to fall in love with her was easy because of her baby-faced beauty and endearing personality. She had such a soft face. She sang beautifully and had great vocal ability. She did to your hearing exactly what she did to your eyes. And in appearance and sound, she was just overall a delightful woman.
Cinderella, look into your mirror. Don't you see a lovely vision there? Why must you spoil your pretty eyes by crying?
Sheila's singing voice, for me at least, is unparalleled in her era. If there was ever a bird with a beautiful voice, it was her. Her voice is incredible. It was clear and eloquent, like honey. She reminds me of Lena Horne with the voice, okay? She sang every note as if it were her last, with all her heart, soul, gospel, jazz, and the blues all blended seamlessly into her voice. She's always put her own chic, easy listening, soulful, jazzy, and mellow spin on popular and traditional songs alike, as only she would do it. Her voice, if you heard with your eyes closed, might transport you to a fantastical realm. Sheila does that for me. I love her singing voice, and I am a little bit particular with singing voice also. I love a soothing, calming, relaxing voice, and I just found it very fantastical. She was commonly confused with Dorothy Dandridge, which I did a breakdown for her also, which was the black sex goddess. If you haven't seen that, check it out also. And it's been suggested that some critics thought Sheila was a stronger actress to the more well-known Dandridge. And you know, y'all know I love me some Dandridge, so I'm not gonna do the comparisons, but this is from articles from the 1940s that I got most of the information in the 1950s for this video, and they did a lot of comparison with her and Dorothy, saying that the only advantage Dorothy Dandridge had on Sheila was a head start. And unfortunately, in the film industry, there was only one black woman that could make it out of time with like the glamour, sensual appeal. Y'all that have others, but it couldn't be two of them, but they were very similar in range. And I must say, watching all of the Dorothy Dandridge films and Sheila films also, I love them both equally, so I'm not going to compare. But there were some who argued that Sheila would have presented a stronger competition for the more seasoned actress if given the chance to make an impression in Hollywood cinema. Sheila was initially referred to as another Lena Horne, which I did a breakdown for her too. I don't know, I just love these glamour actresses so much. It was just something about that era. But however, Sheila soon established a new style and persona, and after proving her prowess, no one referred to her as anything other than Sheila Guyse. As a result, the title of the next Lena Horne didn't last very long for her. She built her own identity. So legendary Miles Davis said he never understood why Sheila Guyse isn't a legend or more known, and I agree. He considered her a great singer, just as Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, and Miles Davis heard and knew them all. but Sheila was at the top of his list and was his favorite. Sheila came across as both seductive and endearing in her performance. In the eyes of the public, she was either the girl next door or a sensual symbol, and she could do no wrong in either role. For the duration of the 40s and 50s, she was the most talked about female singer in the world. Among the best singers in her group, people who saw her perform adored her. So what happened? You guys are like, you're raving about her. What happened? Why isn't she as well known? Well, her life was truly unsung. She was at the pinnacle of her career when she fell ill, and her illness put an end to it all. She married a trash collector after 2 failed marriages, and he persuaded her to become a Jehovah's Witness. She ended up becoming a housewife and passed away from Alzheimer's disease, and we're gonna get into all of that more. But before we get into the dark nitty-gritty of it all, Sheila was young, stylish, glamorous, vibrant, and was bursting with talent to sprinkle on all audiences. Sheila Guyse entered this world on a hot and humid day on July 14th of 1925 in Forest, Mississippi. And after relocating to New York City with her family in 1945, she found work at a dime store on 125th Street, not far from the Apollo Theater. Her daughter said she lived for a time in a Harlem rooming house with Billie Holiday. Like many other African American performers of the time, Sheila got her start in the entertainment industry by appearing in amateur productions, and in 1945 she made her debut in Detroit nightclub called Club Zombie. Sheila had a sultry girl next door appeal, which she showcased in 3 independent all-black films, so-called race films of the late 1940s. Boy, What a Girl was released in 1947, and I love that movie. That's where she played the wealthy daughter, the daughter of a wealthy investor. Like I can't wait to do a breakdown for those for you in 2023. Also Sepia, Cinderella, which is an amazing film, which I will also be doing a breakdown for, and Miracle in Harlem, which was released in 1948, giving impressive performances in all of them. She also appeared in the Harlem Follies of 1949 and in a 1957 television adaptation of the play The Green Pastures. The indie black films she was a part of are some of the best ever made. Sheila's acting was effortless and pleasant. She also had the ability to convey strong emotions in serious situations on screen. And regardless of the role she portrayed, she had an endearing, magnetic quality that made audiences watch her on screen. A movie might be carried by Sheila alone, in my opinion. Even though Sheila lacked both training and experience, she was a born performer and it came to her naturally. In 1945, she made her Broadway debut in the show Memphis Bound. She was playing Bilbo Jangles, Robinson's leading lady. And after 36 performances, which is a lot, okay, the show was canceled. She also had recurring roles in 2 critically acclaimed long-running Broadway shows, Lost in the Stars and Finian's Rainbow. An Outer Circle Critics Award was given to Lost in the Stars, and Sheila was a part of the cast albums for these shows. Now let's get into her relationships. There were 3 marriages for Sheila. She had a daughter, Sheila Crystal Miller, with her ex-husband, Shelby Irving Miller, whom she married and later divorced. However, Sheila's marriages to her second husband, Kenneth Davis, received the most attention. An article titled Negro Woman with White Husband appeared in the February 1952 issue of Jet, featuring the happy couple. And at that time, a lot of people were not too happy about black women dating interracially or having interracial relationships, because you gotta remember Josephine Baker during that era was married to a white man, Lena Horne. Dorothy Dandridge was out here having affairs with white men, eventually married one. Like they all, Pearl Bailey was married to one. So it just, and I did breakdowns for all of those women, and it was always a problem each and every single time that they did. But keep in mind, black men were also dating interracially also, but there wasn't as much backlash for the men. And even for the white actresses, they did backlash, but it wouldn't be as extreme as like, you know, like for the white men who married black women, they got the least backlash. They kind of ruled, it was like, okay, good for you. But white women dating black men kind of went through it too. You know, they went through a lot to date interracially at that time. So the black men had to literally it had to make sense. They had to have money, they had to, you know, have status, have fame, but you know, she got a lot. And so That's what she was mostly remembered for and reduced to at that era, just having a white husband. And this is a direct quote from the magazine interview, which I felt she handled with grace, and she answered each question with class. And I like this quote from her. She said, "I don't go about looking for difficulties. It took me a long time to decide to marry Ken, but I'm glad I did. We've been very happy. Intelligence and understanding are needed to make a marriage like ours succeed. It takes more than love. You have to have a mind of your own and be able to ignore what the world is saying and thinking about you." End quote. Davis, who was a dancer at the time, and Sheila crossed paths on the set of Fenian's Rainbow. They tied the knot in Philadelphia, but they made their home in the Bronx for the majority of their marriage. And when Ken Davis and Sheila decided to divorce in 1954, there was just too much pressure on their marriage, and it just was not working out anymore. They made the announcement public, and of course, a lot of people was overjoyed that didn't want them to be together in the first place. So Sheila married New York City sanitation worker Joseph Jackson in 1958, and the couple eventually had 2 children, Deidre, Jean, and Michael. Sheila's husband did not want her to have a career, according to her daughter, Miss Devon. So Sheila met Joseph Jackson, the sanitation worker, while struggling as a single mother after her first 2 marriages had ended in divorce. And he was so fascinated by her beauty that he would follow her around in his garbage truck. Oh, this is a direct quote from her daughter. She said, "It wasn't easy to be a glamorous movie star with people following you for your autograph, and now you're home making pancakes. She did it, but I don't think it was easy." End quote. And that must have been hard, like, a complete downgrade of your life. But since Sheila was married to Jackson, she eventually converted to being a Jehovah's Witness. They stayed together as a married couple until he died in 2012. When it came to her work as an actress and singer, Sheila's physical well-being was very crucial. Throughout her career, she battled health issues that led her to decline several roles and even temporarily leave the entertainment industry. She was diagnosed with stomach ulcers the day after accepting a role in the 1953 Broadway play Mile High. And Sheila, who had surgery for bleeding ulcers in the mid-1950s, continued to have health problems. Miss Devon, her daughter, recalled once finding her collapsed in her bedroom bleeding from her mouth. In 1958, she made a comeback to show business by releasing her lone album in a studio titled This Is Sheila. She attempted a career comeback but found it difficult to secure employment again. An article was written on her from that time, and the article said, and I quote, "Sheila is a singer who has had to overcome serious illness, marriage failures, financial pressures, and professional disappointments in her long campaign to create a career in show business." The article quoted Miss Sheila as saying, "I was discouraged and depressed for a while, but now life looks a lot better to me," and mentioned a 5-year recording contract. But unfortunately, that comeback never happened. And on December 28, 2013, at the age of 88, she passed away from complications brought on by Alzheimer's disease. So this is just very, very unfortunate. I just feel like we should bring a revival to these old actresses that just was forgotten, that contributed so much to the culture and paved the way for so many people that we just don't know much about them, but we know much about everybody else. And this is why I love doing breakdowns for the old glamour starlets of Hollywood the most, because it's just like looking in the past, like, wow, these people endured so much for all the laws that are passed now, all the changes, and making things a little bit easier for the people of this day. I love Sheila. She is definitely in my top 3 singers. But if you like the music you're listening to, the link is in the description. So thank you for tuning in. Comment below what movies you guys would like me to do breakdown for 2023, and other starlets that you guys would like breakdown for. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Have a good day.